Well, we're seeing a drip, drip, drip in job growth. The unemployment rate now down to 5.8%. That's good, not ideal. What many analysts, like my next guests, are hoping for is that a GOP-led Congress will lead to tax reform that sparks business growth and a surge in hiring. Joining us now to explain that is Maya McGinnis. She is the president of the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Maya, it's always wonderful to have you on the program. Welcome back.
Thanks, Maria.
Your reaction to the GOP win this week and what it means going forward.
Well, so it was a huge shift in political power in Washington. And the question is this going to lead to real progress on some policy challenges? And I think realistically, there's still a lot of challenges to overcome in terms of there's a divide between President and Republicans, the Senate and the House, and even within the Republican Party. Clearly, what you would want to have is a big, comprehensive economic growth strategy, which is what this country needs. And it's why we saw people coming out of the polls so worried about sort of their security and the future of the country. But that's a pretty big lift, I have to say, in terms of the challenges politically. It would entail everything from kind of ginning up the economy now. Like you said, jobs growth is solid. But it doesn't reflect growing wages, and it still shows too many people out of the workforce, and the economy is not growing as quickly as it should be.
Yeah.
But so you need some upfront stimulus for growth, whatever form that would take, more investment. You need serious comprehensive tax reform to increase the competitiveness of our business sector and help grow the economy. And you need to get a hold of the fiscal situations that we have in this country. People are talking about the short-term improvements in the deficit. That's not the problem. The issue here is unsustainable debt path, and we need to tackle some very tough things. That may be more than we can expect in the next 2 years, but it's the most important thing we could do to get the economy growing, is to have a real comprehensive growth strategy.
Right. Zero in on some of the spending debacles. You know, you heard Senator Lindsey Graham at the top of the show talk about the sequester and what that has done to defense spending. Where does that fit in terms of policy priorities relative to the entitlements, which we were hearing so much about a couple of years ago, which seems to have taken to the sidelines? What do you want to see as the priorities with regard to budget issues?
Yeah, I think what Senator Graham laid out were actually the right kind of manageable goals. Well, we'd all like to have kind of a big, comprehensive growth strategy. It would be the best thing to help the economy really take off. The realistic things are there are a lot of little moments coming up in the next year. And those things include figuring out how to trade out some of this really onerous sequester for more sensible saving policies. We have a highway trust fund, which we have to figure out how to replenish and get some spending on our roads and bridges and really help with jobs from infrastructure there. We have these unsustainable cuts that we have in Medicare, which we should replace the so-called doc fix with health care savings. And we have to deal with things like funding the government in the next couple of weeks. We should do that without any issue. We should try to reassure markets, the economy, and the public that we're not going to have government shutdowns. And if you look later this year, we have another debt ceiling increase. So we want to make sure we get through all of these important moments smoothly, without kind of incident or hostage taking, and hopefully replace some of the not sensible policies we have in place with medium-term savings deals, which could generate savings over time. That would be a solid step in the right direction and help Congress and the president start working together on some of these issues, and it would help the economy significantly.
And then, of course, there are the ideologies, Maya, right? I mean, let's talk about tax reform for a moment. The president has said that he would like to see corporate taxes come down. That's what the Republicans want. However, the president said he doesn't want to touch individual tax rates, but that also affects small business. So how do you keep, corporate tax rates low for the larger companies and high for the small companies, which in fact are supposed to be the job creators?
Well, this is one area where everybody agrees we need to reform the tax code, but boy, is the devil in the detail. This gets really thorny and complicated. The ideal way to fix the tax code is to look at it comprehensively, individual and business taxation, take all of that on, broaden the base. We give away over $1 trillion a year in tax breaks on both the corporate and individual side. Use that money to bring rates down, help promote growth, and have that on both, the corporate and the individual side. I think there is more interest now in the business side only. And like you say, that brings up some real thorny issues because corporations would have lower rates while pass-throughs that are taxed on the individual side wouldn't. There is some effort to figure out how you allow those businesses to have other tax breaks that would keep their effective tax rates similar to what's going on in the corporate sector. The other option is more of them could become corporations. I think in this one, We do what can get done. We figure out how much appetite there is for hopefully an overall comprehensive tax reform, and if not, what you can do on the business side. The really important thing here is to help with growth, competitiveness, simplifying the tax code. That needs to happen in all areas. But keep in mind, there's winners and losers when you do tax reform. And that means people whose tax breaks are going to be removed are going to fight tooth and nail to keep them in place. And we have to kind of keep our eye on the big picture, which is that overall competitive, simpler tax code will be good for the economy, even though some of those tax breaks really need to be gotten rid of.
Absolutely. You've got to have jobs as the priority, and then everything flows from there.
Growth.
Maya, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for the analysis.
Thank you, Maria.
We'll see you soon. Maya McGinnis joining us.